Hey, welcome to Caritas Querens. So I was just making a video a little bit ago about some concluding remarks about free will and relation to God's sovereignty and universal salvation. And wouldn't you know it, I had somewhere else to be. I had to kind of wrap it up quickly. So I was kind of rushing, and in haste, I forgot some things I wanted to say. So now that I have a little bit more time, I wanted to just make another quick follow-up video of some more concluding remarks. So these are the concluding remarks of the concluding remarks. So these are the ultimate concluding remarks about free will. So what I wanted to say is just give an example or kind of show you what I mean with my understanding of free will, what it looks like by way of an analogy that actually shows development of a person and development of their freedom. So think of it this way. Think about any type of skill. And I'm going to use the skill of playing the piano, okay? Now, I'm not very good at playing piano, so I might make a technical blunder in something I say here. So anybody out there who's musically inclined that knows how to play piano, please forgive me if I say something wrong or I use an improper term or something. But so let's think about like playing piano, okay? The more that you develop as you learn how to play the piano, okay, so in other words, you know like where to place your fingers, you know what keys make which sounds, which pitches, and you know how to make different chords, play different chords, you know how to do the rhythm properly, all of that. The more you learn all those things, in a sense, the more free you become to play the piano. So early on, when all you can do is just kind of like tap the keys, or if you know nothing about piano and all you can do is just like slam your hand down or bump the keys or whatever, like you really don't have much freedom to play the piano. Sure, you might make some sounds, but it's actually, you're not really free to express yourself. You're not really free to express beauty or ideas through the medium of music, through the piano. The more you learn, the more you develop in your ability to play the piano, in your understanding of it, in your actual physical ability, developing the muscle memory and all of that stuff, the more capable you become of actually being free to play the piano. And that's kind of how I view free will now, that it really is kind of develops alongside of our development as persons. So it's a freedom not to do whatever I want, but a freedom to actually do something, to do something in accordance with who I am, who I was created to be. And so the more you develop in playing the piano, the more free you become to play the piano. You, in fact, even become so free to be more creative. So it's not so much, some people might say, well, if you develop as a person, your freedom develops with that, then maybe you're not really free. Maybe it's really just sort of like an instinct that's developing in you. And I would say no, because the more you develop in playing the piano, the more creative you become. You could actually start to compose your own original pieces, for instance, or maybe take a piece that you're playing and add little flourishes or add variations onto it, and to be creative and actually without betraying your skills, without betraying the piece that you're playing, you actually become capable of adding to it, of expressing your own personal freedom through it. On the other hand, the more free, or you can say vice versa, the more free you become to play the piano, the more you develop as well. So the more free you become, you're able to play more complicated pieces. You're able to play with greater fluidity and grace. As you do, what happens? Well, now you actually are able to develop. You know, instead of just playing chords, for instance, you can now play more complicated pieces. So your skill develops alongside of it. Or once you can play, you know, more complicated pieces, maybe a piece by Chopin, for instance, then you begin to be able to imitate that and create your own pieces. So your skill as a pianist also develops alongside of your freedom. In fact, I would say they're almost interchangeable. They're almost indistinguishable. Your freedom to play and your development as a piano player, your musical skill and technique and all of that and understanding. Now, if somebody were to say to you, let's say you're a master pianist and you can play the most beautiful pieces, the most complicated pieces with ease and with grace, with beauty, and somebody were to say to you, look at you, you couldn't play a wrong note if you tried. You're no great piano player. A great piano player could even play things the wrong way. Somebody who's really free to play the piano could even be free to play it totally wrong, to play a discordant note where there should be a concordant note or whatever, okay? That would be ridiculous, right? That statement is just crazy. Could a master pianist play the wrong note? Well, in theory, they could, okay? But the very act of choosing to play the wrong note would not be an expression of their freedom. It would actually be an expression of a lack of freedom because it would be contrary to their ability to play the piano. So if, as a master pianist, if I were to say, you know what, this time tonight, I'm gonna get it all wrong on purpose. Okay. Well, that's either on the one hand a sign of true freedom because I'm trying to be original and creative, in which case, really, I'm not playing the wrong note on purpose, or I'm really playing something different, right? I'm being creative and playing something new, or it's a sign of a lack of freedom because I'm betraying my own freedom. I'm betraying my own ability to play the piano properly. I hope that makes sense, Or think of this analogy: if you have two baseball players and one goes up to bat and strikes out most of the time, he's got a 0.015 average or something like that, and somebody else goes up and he's got a 100 average. He gets on base every time, nothing but hits. If that lousy batter were to say to him, "Oh, look at you. At least I can strike out." Okay, you can't even strike out. Again, that's ridiculous. That does not, the fact that he can't strike out does not take away from his freedom. In fact, the very fact that he always gets a hit shows that he is truly free to play baseball, free to hit the ball, free to be a good batter on a more eminent level. And that's a sign also that he is developed as a player as well. So I hope that helps. In conclusion, one thing I wanted to just mention too, I know some of you have reached out and expressed, your thoughts about this and also how frustrating it can be sometimes to understand free will. And I'm there with you. This has been a struggle for me as well. I think, bear with it. I think maybe part of the thing, somebody left a comment the other day, and I thought this was really interesting and it really got me thinking about this. I think maybe part of the reason why it's so difficult to understand free will is because if I'm right, if my understanding of it is correct, and it is a capacity that is dynamic, that is still being developed, well, then it makes sense that we can't perfectly understand it because we're experiencing it in a transitional phase, still in development. It would be like expecting somebody to understand what a butterfly is like who's never seen a butterfly, who's only ever seen a caterpillar or a cocoon. They've only seen a passing phase on the way to becoming a butterfly. They haven't seen the end product yet, and so they can't really fully understand what a butterfly is like. Well, same thing. Maybe until we are perfectly united with God, until we have become the perfected saints that He has created us to be, and thereby have perfect freedom, maybe we will never really fully understand it until we get to that point. And that makes sense. After all, we use our freedom to think. We use our freedom to understand things. We use our freedom to talk about things, discuss things, explain things, analyze things. And so if our freedom is itself not fully developed yet, is still kind of in progress, then it makes sense that even our ability to understand it, to think about it, to discuss it, to explain it, to analyze it, is also going to be imperfect, is also going to be only in progress and in development yet. And therefore, it makes sense that maybe we can't perfectly understand it. So personally, when I get to points like that where I think, oh, I just want to understand this so much, I just try to remember that someday I will. Someday I will see face to face, and in that I will come to understand things in Him who is the end, who is my end as well, who is eminently free, union with whom really is true freedom. And so someday I hope that I will experience that. I trust that I will experience that. And in the meantime, it may be frustrating, but I keep trying to understand it, keep thinking through it, keep praying about it, pondering it, meditating on it, and just look forward to that day when I will be able to say, now I get it. Now I finally understand it. And probably will see that most of what I say is way off, or at least is just a shadow of the real understanding of the way things are. So anyway, I hope this was helpful. And again, as always, if you found this helpful, please, I ask you to consider subscribing, liking, sharing with others. Always look forward to your comments, so please leave comments if you'd like. And thanks for watching. Till next time, adios.